Okay, so with this question here, right, we've got a strange looking graph. Obviously, this is just a transformation question. So with part A, now it says sketch the graph of y equals 2f of x plus 3. And remember I said before, focus on the inside there, right, in that bracket, and you do that shift first. That'll be a shift along the x-axis. And remember, in the bracket, always the opposite. So if it's plus 3, you're actually going and taking it back 3, right? So it'll be minus 3 there. So if we do that bit first, okay, don't worry about the second part, where it's 2 times it. We'll do that later. So basically, you're going to shift this is going to go back 3, so from 8 it'll go to 5, so we'll be about there. This is going to go back 3. Remember, look now, I'm focusing on the x value. I'm not worried about the y. Y will stay the same. Go back 3, that will take me to 1. And this will go back 3. Now that's the origin, so if I go back 3, it'll be at minus 3. Okay, so it'll be here. So if I draw that bit now, okay. So what I've done here now is I've drawn f of x plus 3, yeah? That's the first bit. Now I'll apply the second transformation, which is outside the function, and you're multiplying f by 2, so basically you're affecting the y values now, you're multiplying it by 2. Okay, so I'll take this graph here, and I'll multiply everything by 2. Now, if you multiply this by 2, now remember now, outside the bracket, you're affecting the y values, not the x values, so we multiply the y value there by 2, while the 0 times 2 stays the same, so we're still going to have 5, 0. Don't worry about the x value, x stays the same. The maximum though, if I times this by 2, I'll get 1, 4, 1, so it'll take it much higher up here. And then again, this will stay the same, this will be minus 3, 0. Okay, the y value stays the same. Okay, so that's my answer. I get what I need there, right? Where both transformations have been applied. Okay, so if we go on to part B, it says in a separate diagram, sketch the graph y equals f of 2x plus 1, indicating coordinates to the highest point, and intersecting with the y-axis. Now, quite simply, just like I discussed before, you do f of 2x first, okay? You basically deal with what's in the bracket first, always deal within the bracket, and then this plus 1 we'll sort out later. And what's in the bracket affects the x-axis, okay? Affects the x-axis here, and you always do the opposite, don't you? So in this case here, we times in 2 by x, right? So the opposite will be dividing by 2, okay? So really we want to divide the x values by 2, okay, in there, and that's what that means, okay, because you're doing the opposite. So if we divide the x values by 2, well, that will stay as it is, won't it? Because there's 0 there, the x value, so if I divide that by 2, it stays at 0. So we've got 1 point already just by simplicity, really, just thinking about the coordinate, because it's 0, it stays at 0. Now if we divide this value, x value, by 2, okay, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we've got another point there, and the y value stays the same, doesn't it? 2, 2. And then 8, 0, well, if you divide that by 2, the 8, you get 4. Okay, so that's the result you get, right? Y value stays the same. So that's f of 2x. Then we're going to do f of 2x plus 1, right? Now that means then it's going to affect the x values, and this time, sorry, the y values, and this time we're not multiplying, we're actually shifting up by 1. So it goes up by 1, right? So on our final graph here then, shifting that up by 1, well, at the moment there it's 0, 0. If you shift it up by 1, that would be 1, 0, right? Or 0, 1, sorry. Okay, so that's very close to the y-axis, so we've done what they've asked us to do. The maximum then, we shift that up by 1, well, the x value will stay the same, but the y value becomes 3. Okay, and then this here, 4, 0, if I shift that up by 1, I'd end up at 4, 1, wouldn't I? Okay, 4, 1. Now, that's not really that important, okay? You know, you don't need to mark that, 4, 1, okay? Where it crosses the x-axis, well, I don't really know, okay, because I don't know, you know, there's this point down here that's been shifted up 1, and you end up on the x-axis, but I don't really know what that value is, and it doesn't matter, right? We don't know what it is, so we just leave it. You don't need to put 4, 1 here neither. That's not important. It doesn't ask you in the question. Most important thing is you show where it crosses the y-axis, and you show where the maximum point is, and we're done.